Carol Danvers, Avenger. One of the greatest female superheroes ever. These villains will kind of put her to the test, won't they?
Yeah, for sure.
What's up, Comic Universe? Yeah, we're back here again. No longer rolling solo for right now. You know, it's always good to have the world's finest.
So guys, Rogues Revamp. If you're not aware, this is where we take people from different mediums, different comic book companies, video games, movies, cartoons, you name it. We take villains that we think would match up well or be cool and interesting villains for said hero or villain, if you will. So basically throwing them into or creating their own rogues gallery, because sometimes a lot of heroes don't actually have a rogues gallery. They just fight or the villain of the day, if you will. So this is our attempt of creating a rogues gallery for Captain Marvel, and here we go. Since I went first on the last one, you get to knock it off.
Alright, so my number one is another. I'm kicking off with another Ben 10 villain. I was kind of binge watching Ben 10, like the classic Ben 10, when we made these lists. So my number one is the Highbreed from Ben 10 Alien Force.
Goodbye, Ben Tennyson.
The Highbreed were like these aliens who were obsessed with genetic purity. And Carol, I think they would look at as like, this is not right. This thing should not be here. So I think they would, like, her whole thing, their whole vendetta against Carol is that you're an aberration. You should not, you are mixed of Kree and human and God knows what else.
Right.
You, for the sake of logic, you need to die. So
yeah, I definitely would see them the same way because they're all about purity and making things right. You know, she's obviously very powerful, but they are too. Like they are a force to be reckoned with, and it would be really cool to see aesthetically too, because she's, you know, again, the stature of a woman, you know, a human woman, and these things are what, 10 feet plus. You know, and totally she'd be looking up, and they would be looking down on her. You're just a puny human. You're a puny Kree. You know, all intents and purposes, a muggle. I know that's more magic based, but you're slop. You're nothing. And then go to punch her and just literally blast through their hand, and they're like, "Whoa!" Now we know what we're dealing with. So it would be really cool to see.
Yeah, it would be great. Like they're like pointing their fingers, like you. It's like you are this, you know, this horrible creature. She takes a finger, just rips the arm off.
Exactly. So it would be really, really intense. So my first pick is an odd one, and the reason why I picked it was more so to get this thing more flushed out, because not too much is known about the Blob. Yes.
Beware of the Blob.
Yes, exactly. The grotesque gumball jello mold itself that just essentially rolls over, digests, and ingests, essentially, you and everything else in front of it. So this is like an alien creature that, again, we don't know too much of, and I could just see these things floating throughout the cosmos, landing on these particular planets, you know, in their little meteors, and cracking open, and essentially taking over the entire planet. And eventually, this would become some sort of a pandemic, if you will. Like, this is something that would need to be taken care of, and since Carol, you know, deals with sword and deals with, you know, outer space, and more so in the comics, it's really just more about Earth, and in the movie, obviously, seems to be more about the broad spectrum of space. If she's going to be space's hero, this is something she would have to deal with, this outbreak of blobs, and her power set is complete opposite of the blob's weaknesses, where it's weak to cooler, colder temperatures, and she's, you know, powered with, like, essentially sun abilities, you know, blasts and plasma blasts and things like that, and heated temperatures and energy projections. And it just would counter what the Blob, how to deal with the Blob. So it would force her to think outside the box and have to deal with these grotesque creatures, and maybe along the way we would be able to learn more about what these creatures are.
It's not like she can punch it either.
Yeah, exactly. You might get her hand dissolved. And it would be a really cool, like, thing too, where the Blob wraps around her. Just think about the artwork if this was in a comic book, where like she's essentially getting pulled into the Blob and starting to get dissolved, and she has to literally go binary and blast her way out. And this is probably the first time anything's ever pulled away from the Blob. So even though the Blob doesn't show any consciousness, the way it might react to somebody actually getting out of his grasp would be kind of interesting.
Yeah.
So.
And I think it would also be cool because they kind of hinted at this in like an original script for I can't remember which one of the Blob, the remake or the original, was like the psyches of the people it consumes are still trapped inside of it.
Oh wow, yeah, that's right. I did hear about that. I forgot a lot. That again,
that's
really
fucked up, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if you've never seen any of the Blob's movie, original 80s remake, they're both good. Like I promise you, they're unique. There's some really good special effects that still hold up today. And there's some really brutal ass deaths. Like literally, spoiler alert, there's a guy that gets pulled through a drain pipe. Okay, whole body pulled through a drain pipe because of this thing. Like, it's no joke. So definitely check those movies out if you haven't.
Yeah. My number 2 is Krang. The brain... Yep.
Shredder.
Shredder, find me a new body.
You know what I'm saying? It's like a tuna piece of gum with a face.
I'll only warn you once. Get off my ship!
So, Krang is an evil genius with a robot body. He just screams space villain, and Carol fits that description pretty well. And I think Carol would be like, you have got to be shitting me right now.
Right. I've seen some shit, but a talking brain?
Yeah.
Exactly.
But Krang would be such an interesting villain in that he would be a mental opponent for him. Carol does more punching than she does thinking. So...
No comment.
Let's be real, she does.
Yeah, I know.
So Carol would have to try to think outside the box, because I think Krang would realize, I can't fight you in a head-on match, or I'd lose. So I'm gonna use some mutagen and maybe some Krang tech to try to take you on, or try to rob you of your powers.
Right, and it would be depending on the level where Krang is, in terms of which universe you're taking him from, if you will. Like having the rock soldiers just charge at her, and she literally
what was it, Granitor and
I don't remember, but
yeah,
the gray one and the red one. That's all I remember, to be honest with you. And she'd punch them, and they'd be like basically exploding in the rock pieces everywhere. And even if you use like the last incarnation of the Turtles and all of their multiple Krangs and things like that, it would be just as cool. But Krang himself, I'm with you, is the better choice. And who knows, maybe he could devise some sort of mechanical body that could handle a fight to some degree with her. But,
or at least absorb her powers.
Yeah, that would be another thing. And that would be kind of interesting to see her try to be a hero without her powers. Like, she's so powerful, and even, and again, I hope no one takes this as a knock, but like, she's so reliant, especially in the movie, of her powers, that without it, it would show how good of a hero she really could potentially be. And that might be something that maybe Marvel needs to think about, maybe depowering her just a little, or maybe for an issue or for a storyline, just to show that she's a genuine hero, because she does, especially after Civil War II, she's not really in the best of graces with comic book fans, if you will.
Yeah, thank you, Bendis.
And we're not just talking the design. I know a lot of people like to call her Carol Manverse because they changed her from a very sexualized body to very military-esque and short hair and whatnot. But that's not what we're talking about. We're just talking about her motives and how she dealt with the situation, and basically willing to condemn a child, for murder that he didn't commit, and she knew he didn't commit yet, essentially. Trying to get rid of, spoiler alert, Morales for possibly killing Captain America. It was just absolutely, she was all aboard on just condemning him. So, I don't know. But it would be kind of interesting and a good way to try to save her.
Yeah.
So, I'm talking the Borg from Star Trek.
We are the Borg. Lower your shields and surrender your ships. We will add your biological and technological distinctiveness to our own. Your culture will adapt to service us. Resistance is futile.
The Borg, I think, again, it's just so simple when we're talking about her. She was at first I thought she was going to be the hardest for me to decide who would make great rogues for her. But then you just get into that space mentality and you're like, any space villain could potentially work. And who better than amongst some of the worst, the Borg. If you're not familiar with the Borg, they're basically sentient robots that assimilate. They take organic life and assimilate it into their own ranks, essentially, going from planet to planet, all throughout the cosmos, consuming, if you will. To some degree, kind of similar to the Blob, yeah. But again, we're dealing with high-tech military weaponry. We're dealing with, being vastly outnumbered. And from all the different races that they've assimilated, who knows? I mean...
Yeah, and remember, they can adapt to,
if they assimilate her, imagine.
Yeah, and plus, it would be interesting to see, an energy blast, and then they takes out a few, and then they start to learn, and they can actually adapt to those blasts.
Right, exactly. Or using her own blasts to overpower them or charge them almost like batteries. There's so many different things that they could do, and again... From all the different alien races that they've assimilated, they may have come across something similar to Kryptonians and stuff like that. We could have a serious fight on our hands, with her, if you will. And it would be really cool, and I'd be all about it.
My next one is the Xenomorphs from, of course, Alien. The Xenomorphs are... Again, she's kind of encountered something like them, the Brood.
Yeah.
But the Xenomorphs would be fun in that just the sheer number of them. One, she could just blast it, no problem. Imagine a whole swarm coming at her. And just all that acid blood, she's gonna feel it, and...
Right. She can't just necessarily blast her way out of every predicament.
Yeah.
You're dealing with that.
So, the whole, It would be crazy of just seeing her getting swarmed. I don't think they could actually, they could probably inflict some damage.
Oh, yeah. I mean, she's not bulletproof or anything like that. So, their tails may be able to slice or cut her. And again, enough of them. And again, the same thing with them. And if they've managed to come to Earth and have taken over some of the heroes, we could have Xenomorphs with abilities.
Yeah.
That's just kind of how their DNA works. So, I mean, we could be seeing all kinds of new Xenomorphs and Xenomorphs, however you want to pronounce it, them coming after her. And that would be really cool, too. And, and just her and the Queen Alien squaring up would be an absolute sight.
That would be great.
And when we're talking strong, empowered women, the first one I always think of is Ripley. So that would just be so, right out of the same boat. And it would be kind of cool if somehow there could be some sort of crossover or writing to where Ripley and her could actually team up. That would be really wicked. She falls through some sort of wormhole and it brings her to their dimension, her timeline, and all of a sudden she's there trying to help Ripley, deal with this situation. It would be so cool. And it'd be, for what Marvel is trying to do in the MCU, it would be an interesting way to pass the torch, maybe get the comic book fans in her good graces again, because that's really where most of this stems from. I just think it would be kind of interesting. I would read it. I would buy it.
Yeah, I'm just now kind of imagining a scene of the Queen coming at Kamala, and then all you hear is "Get away from her, you bitch!" Boom! She comes flying in, just punch,
and you just see the jaw. Oh, dude, that would be so wicked. That would be great. Absolutely, I'm so down for that. And supposedly Kamala she's campaigning for Kamala to be in the sequel. So, and again, the movie just came out, so we're a long way from any sequels from that movie. But I would be down with that. That'd be pretty cool. So moving on, we're gonna jump into the realm of DC for me. So my pick is Staro.
These are no ordinary starfish. They are not starfish at all. They have traveled 1 billion light years as the vanguard of an unstoppable conqueror. Staro lives. Staro lives. Staro lives.
Again, another assimilated... I didn't realize I did that until just now, to be honest with you. So Staro, if you're not familiar with Staro, giant intergalactic starfish that can basically create offspring that wrap around your face and basically mind controls you. He assimilates you, makes you a part of his legion, if you will.
Yeah.
He's known for being the first major villain that the Justice League had to come together to face. he's just really cool. He's been in many different incarnations. Brave and the Bold was one of my favorites. For that being such a, and I use this word loosely, and please take no offense, a childish show, because it was geared towards a younger audience.
That became my favorite Batman show.
And that was one of the scariest episodes, because you've seen them, it wrapped around their face, and when it got around Aquaman, and they're just drones marching through the city, I was like, this is kind of intense for a little kid to be watching. And The Brave and the Bold turned out to be, like you said, a really good show, and that's a really good episode of it, to be honest with you.
Yeah. It's actually kind of funny, because Carol has fought Staro.
I didn't know that.
In JLA Avengers.
Oh, yeah.
Where Staro was accidentally thrown into the Marvel Universe, and he actually invaded for a bit, and she was Miss Marvel at the time.
I forgot all about that. That's pretty cool. But anyway, there you go. We did get it. I was right. It was awesome. There you go.
So, my number 4, going into the realm of anime, and that would be from Sailor Moon, Sailor Galaxia. If you don't... If you don't know who Sailor Galaxia is, imagine Galactus as a woman.
Okay.
She is a planet killer who is out to conquer... She's actually more like Darkseid in a way, where she wants to have the power to control life and death. And she wiped out entire solar systems to get the power that Sailor Moon has. And she wiped out the entire Sailor Moon group in under 2 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Like, she just killed them all. And the first person she went to was Sailor Moon's boyfriend, killed him, and then, like, hid that idea into... Is like, hey, I killed your boyfriend, by the way.
Wow.
And I killed your daughter, too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, I'm not familiar with the character, but she sounds pretty badass.
Yeah. For the most part, she was in a chair when she did this. She was just sitting down.
Wow. Stop.
So, Carol would be... Oh my god, Galaxia would just be a whole other level of villain, because not only is she smart, she's godlike. Like, we're talking Thanos, Darkseid level. Does that hurt him?
That was him.
That was a man sneeze. So just the raw power that Galaxia has would be just mind-numbing for Carol to take on head-on. Like, this would be like an Avengers kind of situation.
Right, she'd have to, get some help. She wouldn't be able to just go head-on.
Yeah.
Even in binary, it'd be kind of hard.
Yeah.
Sounds like. Yeah, sounds cool. I would dig it. I mean, I would definitely check it out. And it piques my interest to kind of catch up on my Sailor Moon. Because I've only seen maybe a handful of episodes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So, moving along, my number 4 is actually going to come from the realms of video games, if you will. And we are talking the Reapers from Mass Effect.
There is a realm of existence so far beyond your own, you cannot even imagine it. I am beyond your comprehension. I am sovereign. Rudimentary creatures of blood and flesh. You touch my mind, fumbling in ignorance, incapable of understanding. Reaper, a label created by the Protheans to give voice to their destruction. In the end, what they chose to call us is irrelevant. We simply are. Organic life is nothing but a genetic mutation.
Again, like another assimilation thing.
Yeah, I don't know. I did not realize it until
I'm
just
surprised you
now.
didn't pick the collectors.
Well, I figured along with the Reapers, they kind of all could fall in that same category. Like the Reapers, Behringer and all those guys. Like, anyway, the Reapers, big, giant, sentient spaceships, essentially, that have been around since life has begun. They are basically the ones that were here before any of us. And I would just see them as being this huge threat that have finally decided that, let's say the Marvel Universe has just gotten too powerful for its own britches, and they are getting ready to get rid of the whole thing, and this is just right up Carol's alley, and she'd have to be one of the head honchos up there going head on with these massive, massive starships that just wreak havoc on planets, and they have killed time and time again and have let life reset and start all over. And they just finally get to a point where, like, they've gone too far. Their technology is too vast. Let's get rid of them.
Yeah, these just sound like Thanos' favorite group, don't
Right,
they?
exactly. But they're really cool. They're aesthetic. They look kind of like, almost like Krakens coming down, if you will. And it would just be really cool to see her try to go toe-to-toe with these creatures, if you will.
Final villain is from another anime villain by the name of Dr. Gero from Dragon Ball Z.
No. No, you can't! We are there. I found them!
The android doctor himself. I think he would be interested in Carol's abilities, as well as like her energy absorption and what have you. And imagine him like trying, because he could absorb energy himself, so him trying to take Carol's power and add it to like 17 and 18. Yeah.
Yeah, we don't want that. No. That's just bad.
He's also just really intelligent. I don't think I think he would realize fighting Carol head on would be a bad idea. So I'm gonna have to like sneak attack her or something like that.
Yeah, like kind of like how they figured out they had to do it to the rest of them. Like, and depending on how much power he took from her, how far down he drained, we could get a really good one-on-one physical fight too. If he drained a good amount of her power, that would be a really good square off. I think it would be kind of cool to see Dr. Gero actually get his hands dirty for once instead of having everybody else do it for him.
And if not, he'll just call 19 to go fight.
Right. And who knows how many other robots he has that's sitting around waiting. But yeah, that's a really good one. I dig it. My last one is the big granddaddy of them all. Was actually the first person I thought of when I thought of this list. And again, it just makes total sense when we're talking about space villains. Who else other than Vader and the Empire? Yeah. The Dark One himself, you know, he just would totally see her and be like, you know, with her power and the Force, I would be unstoppable. Every, you know, their agenda would be able to just go forever, if you will. I could see, you know, Sidious just basically get her, take her out. If she doesn't join us, kill her.
Yeah.
You know, get her to join us. If not, get rid of her. And could you imagine Vader and her going toe-to-toe? Like, every blast she's blasting, he's deflecting with the lightsaber.
And could a lightsaber actually cut her, you know?
I think it should. I mean, I don't see why not.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, I believe Wolverine would be able to cut her, so why not? I mean, I know it's not the same, but,
yeah,
you know. But, you know, also same thing, she's coming at him full force, and he just, and, you know, hits her with the Force, and she's like, wouldn't have any idea what the hell's going on, and is she powerful enough to break through Vader's Force? Dude, it would just be epic to all hell. Or can she take a blast from the Death Star? You know, would she be able to handle that? I think so, but it still would be pretty epic to see. You know, and same thing if you throw in Sidious trying to hit her with Force Lightning. You know, is she going to absorb it, or is she going to, you know, drop down? He's like, kneel, bow before me, you know, join us. And he's like trying to drop her to a knee, hitting her with the lightning, and she's starting to fall down to one knee, but instead jumps up with like an uppercut, knocks him out, knocks his head off or whatnot.
And everyone's thinking, oh, Carol could totally dig an old man who can shoot lightning. Sidious's power is planet killer level.
Yeah, he's no joke.
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, that would just be totally wicked to see. And again, I still can't believe I did so many assimilated villains. But hey, maybe that's something that I need to talk to myself about. I am severely into those type of characters. Mikey, what are you doing, bud?
Yeah.
Anyway, guys, so that's our list. Let us know your list on characters you see Carol Danvers going toe-to-toe with and that you would throw into her rogues gallery, guys. And don't forget to smash that like button. Hit it like your Incredible Hulk. Just Hulk smash the hell out of it like you mean it. Be a part of Earth's Mighty subscribers. Join the universe today, guys. If you haven't already, hit that little bell icon so you know every time we drop a video.
You are all of you beneath me. I am a god, you dull creature, and I will not be bullied by that.
Puny god.
Don't forget, guys, we do have the giveaway still going on. All you have to do is get a friend to subscribe, shout your name out, and both of you guys are going to be in the drawings for Detective Comics 1000, as well as in the drawing for the Batman Who Laughs pop figure, guys. And until next time, I'm C-Dubs.
I'm DPZ.
And we'll see you in the universe. Peace.